Taiwan is situated on active earthquake fault lines, and earthquakes large and small are quite frequent in the country. However, less than half of homeowners in Taiwan pay into a government-funded earthquake insurance plan, despite the plan having been available for over 20 years now. One professor says the government should expand the scope of payouts under the plan, arguing that doing so would encourage more people to buy coverage, giving them better protection. In the meantime, officials say they plan to improve the public's familiarity with the plan and the risks of earthquakes to their property. Our Sunday special report.
打下去声音不一样，好，他会知道是不是鼓胀的状况。
Pointer stick in hand, a structural engineer walks around the room tapping on the wall. As he does so, a hollow sound can be heard.
像空心的声音跟不是空心的声音就不一样。
Residents discovered that the support pillars in their building's basement had cracks in the cement, and the cracks had been growing since the most recent earthquake. From a quick visual inspection, the cracks are more than 2 centimeters wide, and they've appeared in more than one spot. A piece of the floor slab has even broken off, which is more than enough cause for concern.
这种东西因为它是属于劣化。
This type of thing is caused by deterioration and is not directly linked to the earthquake. However, because of the deterioration, the steel beams are weakened, and if another major earthquake occurs nearby, that will have an impact.
Following every major earthquake, the Taiwan Professional Civil Engineers Association becomes busy fielding calls from members of the public. Callers hope for a professional assessment of the structural integrity of their building. Engineers responding to the call take the opportunity to teach residents how to make such assessments on their own.
民众在自我检查的时候，要从整栋大楼的1楼开始检查起。1楼的破坏非常明显的时候，大楼就有倒塌的。
When people are doing these checks, they must start from the ground floor. When there's very obvious destruction to the first floor, there's a possibility the building could collapse. If it's not that type of situation, if it's just minor damage, we can fix the damage.
Horizontal or vertical cracks on beams and columns, or small cracks in the corners of doors, windows, and walls are not directly caused by earthquakes. What concerns engineers the most is diagonal cracks, because it is the lateral force of earthquakes that causes such cracks.
我们在工程上的一个说法是，老天爷给你打了一个大叉。
In engineering, we say that the heavens have given you a cross. When there's a lateral earthquake, the damage it causes is manifested in slanted cracks. When both vertical and horizontal supports repeatedly bear heavy loads, cracks will appear along both directions, and then you will end up with a cross.
Taiwan proper is situated on active fault lines, which causes a high number of earthquakes along the island's east coast.
餐厅天花板的水晶灯疯狂晃动，民众惊喧尖叫，赶紧蹲在桌边，拍摄者也站不稳。
On September 18, 2022, a magnitude 6.8 earthquake struck Taidong. Violent shaking was felt across the island, and structural damage was reported in many areas. In neighboring Hualien County's Yuli Township, the damage was especially apparent, with a residential building, a school, and a bridge all fully or partially collapsing. The destruction was shocking for many.
花莲玉里一栋大楼整个倒下来，现场烟雾弥漫，走近一看，门窗扭曲变形，外墙瓷砖掉落。
According to statistics from the Economics Ministry, there are 36 active fault lines throughout Taiwan Island. However, the National Central University's Earthquake Research Center lists 44 active fault lines and has a map of predicted seismic activity for the next 50 years.
值得担心的一个地方呢，就是在嘉义、台南甚至高雄的这些地方，它有着。
One thing that's worthy of concern is that in Jiayi, Tainan, Kaohsiung, and other areas with fault lines, we see that it's very possible an earthquake will occur in the future. We aren't trying to scare people with this map, but we just hope that this map will inform people of the dangers they could face in the future.
Earthquakes have no visual indicators like inclement weather, and disaster-causing earthquakes occur only once every few decades, or even hundreds of years. Therefore, no method of accurately predicting earthquakes has yet been devised. This means it is important for the public to always be prepared for disaster and to be mindful of the risks to personal property and housing.
因为最近地震发生的比较频繁，然后想要来询问有没有相关一些地震的保险内容。
Following the GG earthquake, the predecessor to the Insurance Bureau devised a basic residential earthquake insurance plan. A fund for the plan was established using the balance of each year's insurance premium income after expenses. Officials hoped that the plan would allow earthquake-related insurance claims to be settled quickly.
那个保障呢，就是说你的房屋本体，如果说发生了所谓的全部损失的时候，或推定它说不堪居住了。
That plan protects the basic structure of the home. When the home is destroyed in an earthquake, or when the home is deemed unlivable, it will be written off. It will provide very basic compensation for a destroyed home. Currently, that amount is 1.5 million NT, as well as an additional 200,000 NT for living expenses.
This insurance plan is non-compulsory and relies on the public to recognize the risks to personal property and to inquire with an insurance company about the plan. However, those getting a mortgage through a bank to buy a new or used property may find that the bank requires the borrower to purchase the plan. In the event of an earthquake, 40% of the plan's payout gets paid to the borrower directly, in addition to 200,000 NT for short-term living expenses. The remaining 60% of the payout gets paid to the bank to repay part of the mortgage.
这个纯粹是一个风险的转移。
This is purely a transfer risk to protect the bank's rights as a creditor. After all, the money is paid by the bank and the borrower just uses the building as collateral.
However, the public has been slow to adopt this earthquake insurance plan. According to the Residential Earthquake Insurance Fund, as of the end of August 2022, the nationwide coverage rate for the plan was only 37.32%. Some experts believe that the biggest reason for the low adoption is that a property must be deemed a total loss before a claim can be made. Due to the strict conditions, people have been reluctant to buy into the plan.
很多真的买了保险而没有办法得到理赔的民众。
There are lots of people who bought the plan and then can't make claims, and that will be worrying to people. They live in an area struck by a major earthquake and they bought insurance. Their home isn't totally destroyed and it's not unlivable, but there is definitely damage. Adding to that, much of the clothing, furniture, electronics, and water pipes in their homes are damaged. However, since the place isn't totally destroyed, the insurance won't cover the damage.
This means that a building must have completely toppled, be flagged for demolition by a government agency, or be deemed unlivable by a professional engineer, and the repair cost must be greater than half the cost of rebuilding before an insurance claim can be made. Also, the maximum insurance payout is capped at 1.5 million NT, in addition to 200,000 NT for living expenses, for a total of 1.7 million NT.
其实它的原意
The purpose of the insurance plan was so that when an earthquake occurs, a homeowner whose home is destroyed can get at least 1.7 million NT in cash, which could help them get through some difficulties. An insured person can quickly get access to financial resources during an emergency.
Because the premiums from earthquake insurance contribute to the Taiwan Residential Earthquake Insurance Fund, the government draws from this fund whenever claims are filed following a major earthquake. Over the more than 20 years since the fund was established, the fund has accumulated nearly 40 billion NT. Professor Lin Jianzhi, who once served as the fund's chair, believes the scope of the plan should be expanded to encourage more homeowners to seek coverage.
比如说，我们这个地区地震等级达到了7。
For example, if the earthquake's intensity reaches 7, we will give insured homeowners a set percentage of the maximum payout, say 20%. If the earthquake reaches an intensity of 8, we would pay 50%, and then if it reaches 9, everything would be destroyed anyway.
However, awarding insurance payouts based on the earthquake's magnitude would raise concerns about fraudulent claims. After all, it's not a given that structures will be damaged when a strong earthquake strikes.
我们可以发现说，你当地震的话，会跟你的建筑物的结构有关。
What we can see is that the impact of earthquakes has to do with a building's structural integrity. When there's an earthquake, a building might collapse while the one next to it is unaffected. So fraudulent claims would be inevitable.
这种产物保险来讲，它是一种
This type of property insurance is called an unvalued policy. Only after an incident occurs does someone come and calculate the value of the damage, the amount of money involved.
Like Taiwan, New Zealand and Japan are also in earthquake zones, and both had earthquake insurance plans 30 to 40 years before Taiwan did.
因为我们保费只有1350块。
Our insurance plan is only 1,350 NT annually. If we want to expand the scope of coverage, this premium is certain to be too low.
In other words, if the payout rate of earthquake insurance is to be increased, the premium will also need to be increased. If compensation is to be offered for various scenarios caused by earthquakes, including power and water outages and landslides, homeowners will naturally be more inclined to purchase earthquake insurance.
比较综合的效果，就是说我可能这个风险，地震风险比较低，但是我的水灾风险可能很高。
What is meant by comprehensive coverage is that even though the risks to my property from earthquakes may be relatively low, I'm still covered for a higher risk for flooding or other things that may cause inconvenience to my lifestyle. You tie these things together and homeowners will see that even though they won't be covered for one item, they will be covered for another one. This is more akin to what we in the insurance industry consider comprehensive coverage, full coverage. Homeowners will be more drawn to that.
Quite often, people don't think about buying earthquake insurance until after an earthquake has occurred. Those who are required by their mortgage lender to get earthquake insurance will often stop coverage after their mortgage is paid off. Officials continue to tackle the issue through information campaigns, hoping to foster a general sense of the risks to property.
将来的这个国中、高中小学的他们的教材。
In the future, we will address the issue in elementary, junior high, and high school curriculum. Even though kids this age are not homeowners, one day they will be. In all municipalities and townships, we will ensure that everyone gets this message.
Taiwan experiences earthquakes very often, some large enough to damage property. However, the public has been slow to adopt earthquake insurance. Officials hope that they can foster a sense of risk among homeowners, and that by expanding the rate of insurance payouts, more people will seek coverage.